Willie D. Live.
So let's just keep it 100.
But would you rather have, let's keep it 100. Would you rather have that system where everybody works it out for themselves and you don't have the police targeting a specific group of people? Or would you rather have a system where you have this group of people versus this group of people versus this group of people and all this goddamn violence on a daily basis? Like you live in Calabasas.
Yeah.
You live in that's one of the most richest areas in the United States.
Right.
And still, and yet you got to have gates and guards and alarms and shit on your house. Mm-hmm. You got to have alarms on your car.
Yeah.
You got to have all this stuff, So we trade our safety and our health for the right to just talk shit. That's what we doing.
Yeah.
Basically.
That's a big right, though.
It's a big right.
Have you been to Dubai?
Yeah, of course.
Safest place on earth, right?
Dubai?
Yeah.
Nah.
One of the safest places on earth.
It's a relatively safe place, but you can't.
Top 5% in the world?
Top 5.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
Top 5% of the world. 95% of the world is more dangerous than Dubai, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can leave your wallet on a bench, no one will touch it. I remember I seen videos of women leaving Hermes bags, and they literally film it the whole day. People just walk by, nobody takes it, nobody looks inside. When I was there, with a woman, no one ever catcalled. Women and kids would walk around in the middle of the night, totally safe, right? Say some shit about the king. See what happens to you.
If the king has stewardship over the country being that safe, yeah, I'm all with it. Don't say shit about the king. I'm with it. Okay. Look, man, when I lived in Azerbaijan, it was similar. Like when I lived there, women, I was in Baku. I lived there for 10 years. Women would walk around in like pitch dark. It could be 2 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. Don't know where they was coming from, but they'd be fully dressed, and I'm talking about they could have on something provocative. Nobody bothers them.
Right.
No catcalls, no rapes, no murders, none of that.
Right.
And that is because leadership starts at the top and it trickles down. You have a culture of people who care about each other. You care about your neighbor. Your neighbor cares about you and your children. Like in this country, most of us, we can't even name 3 neighbors. No matter whether you live in a rich neighborhood or a poor neighborhood.
You're right.
Most of us can't even name 3 neighbors. And we wonder why we have all of this dissension and separation.
I mean, look, we're both right in this conversation, right? Neither one of us are wrong. But when you're dealing with the system, you know that if you commit a crime in America, you could get a good lawyer and you might be able to get away with it.
That's right. Many variables.
Right. A lot of variables. Look at OJ. Look at A$AP Rocky. Look at a lot of different people that got away with stuff, and people felt like, well, I kind of thought they were guilty, but okay, that's cool. You know what I mean? I interviewed A$AP Rocky's lawyer, Joe Tacopina. He was going hard that A$AP Rocky had a starter pistol that whole time. I still think that's a silly defense. I don't know of any sane person that would go meet another man over a conflict that they're having and bring a fake gun.
Well, if he got a couple of goons with him and, he just want to scare the guy, I mean, that's plausible.
Okay. Well, to me, it's not.
And A$AP Rocky ain't no street dude like that anyway, so I can see something like that happening. Well, but he's been in jail.
He's been to Rikers.
He ain't going to jail. Don't make you street.
All I'm saying is, me personally, I would be terrified to pull out a starter pistol on somebody because I would assume that if they had
might have a real gun.
that'd be it.
Yeah.
And they'd be fully justified. Remember there was that case? I mean, you talked about that. Remember that guy walked into like a diner and started robbing everybody, and one of the patrons killed him?
Yeah.
And when he walked over to the body, he was like, it's a fake gun. And he threw it down in disgust.
Yeah.
What happened to that guy?
Yeah.
Nothing?
Yeah, they let him make it.
He wasn't charged with anything.
They let him make it.
So, but what I'm saying is, Joe was like, it's a fake gun. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You guys got away with the fake gun thing. That's cool. I'm happy. I'm happy for Joe. I like Joe. Me and Joe have been talking a lot. I like A$AP Rocky. I'm happy for him, but I still think it was probably a real gun, and he got away with it because he spent. Joe Tacopina charged $2,400 an hour.
Damn.
Yeah, and he's worked on that case for 3 years. He probably walked away with like $5 million.
Damn.
To get him off. But then again, when your baby mother's a billionaire, she doesn't want the father of her 2 kids going to prison. She doesn't play a check.
Well, you can't put a price on freedom.
Exactly. But you have a chance of getting away with it. In these countries, you don't really have any sort of real trials. Like, if you do a crime, you're just guilty, and that's that. You think there's a jury in Dubai that votes on certain things? No, like, you broke the law, that's it. We don't really care about your excuse or whatever else. That's it. That one woman, there was like a black woman who went to Dubai who like was yelling at one of the car rental workers. She said the woman touched her. The woman said she touched her, and that's why they locked her up.
I
had heard that like she had like it was something to do with like maybe she had like damaged the car or there was some extra charges and she was just pissed off and she didn't want to pay those extra charges. Mm-hmm. So she got into a yelling match with the guy thinking she's back in America.
Right.
And in Dubai, you can't do that shit.
Nah.
She was locked up. And everyone was like, oh, it's so unfair because that guy could have came to America, did the same thing. You're right. He could have came to America, did the same thing. But he couldn't do the same thing in Dubai.
Right.
So in these places, that, listen, it's all over for you if you go and do these crimes. You rape somebody in America, you'll get some years. You rape somebody. Maybe. Yeah, depending on who your lawyer is. Lots of people get away with rape out here.
Yep.
For years and years. How long did it take Harvey Weinstein to go to prison for that shit? How many people did he allegedly rape along the way? Bill Cosby,
Didn't Trump rape somebody?
Yeah, he raped his wife. Well, no, he raped his wife at one point. They came out in the divorce. And then not the porn star. There was that one woman who was a photographer who sued him civilly. She won. Yeah, our president, you could say, is a rapist. Rape somebody in Saudi Arabia. They'll castrate you. That's the end of the story. They'll cut your penis off. What are you going to do? Complain? You're going to speak out against the government? You're going to get a better lawyer? Oh, that's thrown out the window. So do you want that? Or do you want... And think about in these countries that have these rulers without any sort of voting, without any sort of freedom of speech, think about how many innocent people get put in prison and get put to death because they simply don't have the ability to defend themselves on any level.
But that happens here.
I know it does.
Just don't happen. Well,
but there, they don't even try to sugarcoat it.
Right.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Listen, I came
Once
from a
we
communist...
accuse you, you're out of here, period.
Listen, I came from a communist country. You'll never convince me that that's a better system than what we have here. I'll take this with all of its warts and scars over a communist system. Look at North Korea.
But you can say that because you're a white man in America. See, when I'm looking at it as a black man in America, I have a different set of problems. Besides, like, I got all your problems, and then I got black problems on top of that.
Right.
It's different.
No, I feel you. And I'll never know what that means.
So I can see why somebody like Trump would be like, yeah, let's take it back to the old days and let's keep it like it's always been, So it's a different experience, man,
Yeah, man, listen, like I said, we're both right. Neither one of us is saying the wrong thing. We have our own perspectives, and we have our own experiences. And ultimately, nothing is stopping us from leaving this country.
Before I get, that's true. Yeah. Actually, something is stopping me. My family is here, so that's what stopped me. If I didn't have family here, and I got deep family here, I got like damn near 100 first cousins. So if I didn't have that, I would not be here, bro. I wouldn't be here. Period. Point blank. Period.
You have the money to live somewhere else and come back and see your family whenever you want. So
Yeah, but
I'm not totally buying that.
Nah, I'd be out here all the time, man. I'd be out all the time.
Okay.
Because out of sight, out of mind, and all
I
this
feel
type
you.
of stuff and whatever.
I feel you.
And we can go into
all that. Yeah.
Yeah, we can go into that later.
Yeah.
But man, it's been an absolute privilege to have you on the show. Before I go, what's your prediction on the stocks right now? I know I know we saw a slight increase, but what do you think over the next 6 months going to look like?
I don't really care about 6 months or a year or 2 years or whatever else.
Just long run.
I'm always long term and everything. I haven't sold anything.
Yeah.
I haven't sold a single share recently.
Did you buy some more on the dip? I know you bought some on the
I
dip.
did it because I have a bunch of expenses right now. I have a bunch of extra expenses that's pulling my money into that.
Yeah.
But had I not had that going on, I would absolutely be pouring my money into the stock market.
Because that was a nice little dip last week.
It was a great dip, and I was even tweeting about it. I said, if I had an extra $1 million, I would be buying right now.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, no, it's all going to go to zero. And it's like, it's never gone to zero. I think that what's happening right now is not going to be a permanent situation. Yes, these tariffs, everyone's freaking out over and so forth. But these tariffs are not going to stay here forever. They're already loosening some of the tariffs. They removed the tariffs on cell phones. And they're going to start adjusting here and there. And eventually China and America will work it out. No one's going to benefit by having 100% tariffs between the two biggest trading partners on earth, right? But I think what Trump is doing is playing hardball. And he's probably, when the dust settles, I think that this approach will actually put us in a slightly better position. I think. That's what I think. But who knows? Who knows?
Man,
who knows? Listen, I wish. Listen, the last time I bought.
You're a hell of an optimist, man.
I am. And the last time I bought Tesla stock was when everybody hated Elon Musk for buying Twitter, and the stock was at an all-time low. It was lower than it is now. So I bought a whole ton of it, and after the election, it went absolutely fucking crazy. I'm saying if I was someone that was buying and selling all the time, I probably would have sold at that time. But I just kept it. So now it's down again. But, it's still a very solid company. It's still, look, like for the first time in my life, I had a Tesla Model X Plaid. Right? Have you ever drove around me in that car?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the fastest car in America. Right? It's faster than a Bugatti. I love the gull-wing doors. I love the auto drive. It's got full self-driving. I went, my lease was ending, and I went and test drove every competitor that I could find. I test drove the BMW i7. I checked out the new Escalade, the electric one. I checked out, what else? Some of the various Mercedes electric cars, even like the Maybach SUV and so forth. And after going through all that work, I bought the exact same car again. This is the first time in my life I ever did that. Usually I get something different. But I was like, I can't find anything better than this right now.
Man, that Tesla ain't all of that, man. That's why that shit be blowing up and stuff. It be catching on fire.
No, it doesn't. No.
So you haven't seen these stories where the Tesla caught on fire and stuff?
Listen, every car, you could find any car manufacturer with a car on fire. Are Teslas constantly bursting into flames? Absolutely not. I've had like 5 Teslas. They've all been great. I've never had a problem. Plus, and the thing about the Teslas also is that, and this is when I went through and test drove all the other cars, nobody's software is anywhere near where Tesla's is. The auto drive capability of Tesla, the fact that I can get in my car, take my foot off the gas, take my hands off the steering wheel, it will drive, stop at stop signs, stop at red lights, take turns, slow down, stop, and so forth, get on the freeway, switch lanes, get on the freeway, off the freeway. No car company even remotely has that type of technology. You know what every other car company has? Enhanced cruise control.
Have you gotten to a point to where you're so comfortable with that auto drive that you can sit like a passenger?
Yeah.
Like a real passenger if a human being was driving the car?
See, it doesn't let you do that. So every couple of minutes, you have to touch the steering wheel.
Okay.
Right? And you also can't, get on your phone and stuff like that. It actually tracks your eyeballs. So if you're, looking down, looking away, not really looking at the road, it'll start to beep. And
so what's the purpose of it driving you if you can't look away and do something,
Well, because you're not actually – the actual act of driving has been eliminated. So you don't really have to drive. You could just basically just sit there and you watch, and you can check your phone occasionally. You can't just be on your phone scrolling for 5 minutes. You could check your phone, check your email, put it down, and then just go back to watching the road.
What's the wildest thing that you've ever done while that Tesla was driving itself?
There have been some sexual activities that have occurred while I was in the driver's seat. I'm not going to lie about that. That's definitely happened. And let me tell you this. I don't want this to be taken the wrong way. You shouldn't drink and drive. But if you do, you know what I'm saying? Like, I remember, a few weeks ago, after my interview with Stevie J, you know, he invited us to Mr. Chow's, and there were some other people there. We're all taking shots and everything else like that. At the end of the night, I was kind of blitzed. I probably shouldn't have been driving home. You know, I'm not proud of this. But I jumped in my car, I put it on auto drive, and I got home very safely because I really was not driving, barely at all.
So you know what's next?
What's that?
Somebody's going to use that as a defense. Somebody's going to get pulled over for DUI, and they're going to use that as a defense, and they are going to win.
Well, I mean, you do have completely driverless cars. If you drive around L.A., especially the Hollywood area where I'm at a lot these days, you have Waymo, which is completely driverless taxis. The car pulls up with no one in it. You get in the back seat. There's no driver, and it takes you to where you need to be.
So you can get in there drunk if you want to.
Absolutely. It's like getting into a taxi drunk. Yeah. I mean, you know, like I hope at some point, like by the time my kids get to a driving age, it'd be great if I didn't even have to get them a car. I just got them like a Waymo pass, and they could just go wherever the hell they want to go, and I wouldn't have to worry about some pervert driver, Uber driver, trying to take advantage of them or anything else like that. They're going to get into a car with no driver, and it's almost like getting on a train. You know what I'm saying? And I think, you know, and plus, you know, the whole robot technology that Elon's working with. I mean, he said something that at one point he predicts that this will be the biggest selling product the world has ever seen. Now imagine having an iPhone that has arms and legs. They could do whatever you want. Wash your dishes, walk your dog, pick up your kids, make your meals, make your bed, clean up after the house, you know. I mean, I've had Roombas over the years, and they've all been relatively useless. But imagine an actual person cleaning your house.
Imagine a robot handling your business for you. I'm talking about like somebody running their mouth. You send that robot out to that area.
It'll happen. It'll happen. So someone get their ass beat by a robot.
Like, whoop that, man. Man. Yeah.
I remember there's a show called The Mandalorian on Disney Plus, right? It's basically, you know, like the Boba Fett story. You know, the Mandalorian is the guys with the armor and so forth. And, you know, every episode is like a different kind of like adventure, right? So there was this one episode where he goes to this world that's completely run by these types of robots. But what's been happening is that every so often these robots wild out and start killing people, right? So he goes and meets with, like, you know, the leader of the world, of this world, and they explain the situation to him, and he goes, well, why don't you just turn off the robots? He goes, oh, no, we can't do that. People have gotten way too used to not working and having a leisurely lifestyle and so forth. So if a couple of people die, that's okay. We just got to fix the problem. But turning off the robots, that's not an option right now. And I think that's going to eventually happen. You know, I think it's predicting where we're going.
We're kind of there already. We're just not talking about live human robots. We're talking about the
cell phones.
Some of the stuff that's happening already. Yeah. People are already, like, we've already had a few casualties.
I mean, look, for years, when Vlad TV launched around 2008, you know, VladTV.com, the news website, was a bigger portion of our business than the YouTube channel initially. Now, over time, it started to switch. But once AI became more advanced, like I believe it was about a year ago, I had to lay off my whole writing staff because it was just like we could just press a button and then AI will basically create the article for all, you know, like for example, like all our videos up until last year had a human writer that would write a summary of that video. You're talking about a lot of videos every day. But But now you could just take the transcript from the video, run it through AI, and it does a job that's almost as good, sometimes even better. So I had to lay off my staff. All these people lost their job because AI took over their job. And I'm not necessarily mad at that. I mean, I'm upset that some of these people had been working with me for a long time, and I felt very bad about letting them go. But essentially, not all jobs are going to be here to stay. Technology will take over jobs, and I think trying to limit technology so people can keep a job is not ever going to work in the long term.
Nah, that's not going to work, man. AI is here to stay.
Yeah.
Better get with the program and get left behind.
Yeah.
One person that will never be left behind is Vlad, man. He is a trailblazer, man.
Thank you, man.
No matter what you might think, man, Vlad